Hello, hello, and greetings to another exciting episode of Concepts for Living the Best Life. To live the best life, you're going to have to go behind the scenes and you have to hardwire certain knowledge into your heart so that when things get confusing and the world leaders and all the stuff that goes on start happening, that you can be rooted and founded and established in a strong foundation, and nobody can move you. Absolutely no one can rip you off for your joy. Jesus said, I am with you always, even to the ends of the earth. And we are living in the ends of the earth time frame that he was talking about, the end of the age. So you have to understand that right now we have to be very, very strong. And that's why we're excited about this opportunity for you to learn this new concept for living the best life. And so you have to be aware that Jesus completely understood our times. He understood how things would be right now. And that's why he took the time to explain everything to his followers. And he knew that 2,000 years later, we, the followers of Jesus and those who love Jesus, will also be asking, well, is it now? How soon are you going to come back? When? What's going to happen? How is it going to happen? Well, so that you're not led astray, I'm going to tell you the honest truth as I understand it. And that's after 50 years, like over a half a century of studying scriptures and waiting. And of course, everyone thought Y2K, wow, that's definitely when Jesus was going to come. And look at here we are, 24 years later, and he still hasn't come back for us. But that doesn't mean he won't. It's just that his timing is not our timing. But it's interesting that in his timing, he's in heaven right now. He's not bound by any earthly time, yet he chooses to use earthly time. And what I mean by that is every 2 millennia, there seems to be a like a time date stamp that occurs on the divine timeline. Big, monumental, important moments in human history every 2,000 years. Will Jesus return to earth after 2,000 years, literally, from when he died on the cross? Why does the 2,000 years keep repeating? Our Creator is definitely outside of our time domain. Why does he choose to use our earthly years as a pattern? Is it just pure coincidence? I don't think so. The countdown to the final 2,000 years must have started ticking when Jesus was crucified on the cross. Could it be that when Jesus cried out with a loud voice, "It is finished," the clock of the divine timeline started ticking for his return back to earth? Could it be when Jesus declared it was finished, it all began? It all started with, "It is finished." Well, what was finished? What was accomplished on the cross? What had just transpired? The answer is quite profound, because what just occurred was that the vaccine for the cure for man's heart just became available. Those who chose to receive the cure for their heart disease, so to speak, could be healed spiritually. The remedy for man's broken relationship with his Creator had just become available for all mankind. Men and women severed their relationship with their Creator because of their disobedience. It took place in a garden called Eden. You can read all about it in the first book of the Bible called Genesis in chapter 2. So the good book has everything there. Chapter 2 explains about the first couple, Adam and Eve. And the Creator started a new pure bloodline. And so they wanted to really live it and create things for Adam and Eve. And with their freedom of choice, they were told, don't eat from this tree. This one's disease. It's called the sin disease. And if you eat it, you will know. It's called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And so you probably don't want to do that, because once you start eating that fruit, you're going to start dying, and eventually you will have a physical death, where we want you to live forever with us, and I'll commune with you, is what the Creator said to Adam and Eve. Well, as you read along, you'll see that timing wasn't so good for Adam and Eve, because they chose willingly to disobey their Maker's decree. I mean, the decree was simple. Hey, enjoy all the fruit, enjoy all the animals, start naming them one by one, and just love your place there in the Garden of Eden. But because they were told that they could eat from the fruit of all the trees in the garden except for only this one, if you eat from that fruit tree, you will start aging. The Creator proclaimed, do not eat from the fruit of that tree. But they had free will, and yet they deliberately chose to eat from the forbidden fruit. Because of their flagrant disobedience, they started aging and dying. They contracted a sin disease, if you will. They were also banished from the garden because of their disobedience. Now they had to work by the sweat of their brow for their food. No longer will they be in the garden just reaching up, grabbing the food from the tree, the fruit of the tree. And of course, it was delicious fruit trees. It just had to be, because our Creator doesn't make anything not delicious. Well, so to speak. That happened many, many thousands of years ago. 4,000 years later, and finally now, Jesus became the antidote, or the cure, for all of us on that Roman cross. He had the royal blood that was only the remedy powerful enough to cure and to forgive our sins. He also had to conquer death. History records that he did rise at the beginning of the third day, just as he said he would. Over 500 people witnessed him. They were witnesses to confirm that Jesus was walking around eating and drinking. Jesus was very much alive and well in 33 AD. Josephus was a historian, and he also wrote about it. He really wasn't a follower of Jesus, but he was just chose to write things down. He saw something was important because he was witnessing all the stuff that Jesus was doing. And he was also politically involved because he was seeing what the Romans were all nervous about. So either way, Josephus, the historian, also wrote about the excitement in the air as many professed, saying, Jesus alive again. After 40 days from his resurrection on the Jewish festival of Pentecost, he said, I will come back again for you through the eastern gate in Jerusalem on the Mount of Olives. Then he started his ascension into the clouds. On the Mount of Olives, his disciples were astonished and kept looking in the sky. While they were still looking up in amazement, all of a sudden there appeared two angelic beings, dressed in a shiny white glow. They said, Men of Galilee, why do you stand and stare at the sky? This same Jesus will come back again for you in like manner at this vortex on the Mount of Olives. The followers of Jesus had no idea that that proclamation would be 2,000 years in the making. They thought, okay, maybe he's going to come in our lifetime, maybe 20 years from now. They didn't understand that that short verse in the Bible spanned 2 millennia of time. Having an infinite perspective, Jesus in his wisdom designed it so that throughout the ages, those who love him will always be in a state of watching and waiting, in a state of readiness. We all are anticipating his soon return 2,000 years later. Now, we do not know the hour or the day of his return, so we wait expectantly for him. Jesus encouraged all of us to be prepared to meet him in the air. That means there has to be some specific preparation. In Matthew 24, Jesus wanted all of us to be vigilantly waiting for his return. That's in his infinite wisdom. Just be ready. That's all he said. It doesn't matter who the Antichrist is. It doesn't matter what time or who's going to be the leaders, what they're going to do to you. He saw that it was more important in his wisdom to just say, look, just be ready. Trust me. I got your back. I'll take care of you. So he wanted to have us be in a constant excited state of anticipation with a "I can't wait to see you, Jesus" attitude. Jesus instructed his followers and all of us today, just before he ascended into heaven, he gave his final directive or mandate. He said, "Go into all the world and make disciples of all men and women." So then, his last instructions to his disciples, and to now us as well, should be our first main priority today. We need to be passionate in spreading the good news with everyone. We all were specifically instructed to make disciples of all humans. He did not say this mandate to Jewish high priests, the Pharisees, the rabbi teachers, or religious leaders. He gave his instructions to simple fishermen like Peter and his followers. A tax collector, well, we can go on and on. It doesn't matter. We are all instructed, like Peter and the disciples there, to go and make disciples. Well, what does that mean? Well, Jesus also was aware of us today and included you and I personally to be actively involved in making disciples of all mankind. He said that all authority in heaven was given to him, and now he's passing that authority to us. He is allowing all of us to participate in sharing the good news of the gospel. The kingdom of heaven is now at hand and available to all who are willing to receive his gift. We cannot be confused about our understanding of this important directive. Jesus gave it to us, so we need to be bold like never before, trusting and believing Jesus for his soon return. He promised that he would return for you and I. He gave us his word. All he asked of us is to share the good news and make disciples, just to be watching and waiting, being prepared and ready to go anytime now. Soon we will disappear in the twinkling of an eye. We will be uploaded into the clouds. Is that exciting or what? We need to finish strong, though. We need to be found faithful at his coming in the air. Those who love Jesus will be uploaded in the clouds very soon, living our lives to our fullest potential. Remember that? Living the best life, fullest potential, prayerfully waiting for his return. Jesus also declared that for those who did not prepare, he will come as a thief in the night. So being prepared is the key factor. In Matthew chapter 24, Jesus also asked, by his disciples, they asked him, "Tell us, Jesus, when will this happen? And what will be the sign of your coming at the end of the age?" Love that term, something new. What about this end of the age? We are living in the end of the age because you can see all that's happening. Russia invading Ukraine and killing women and children. Hamas, again, invading Israel and raping and killing the children and the women and men. It's ugly, ugly stuff, but it's factual. Jesus was fully aware of what's going on and how it was going to be in our time. And that's why he called it the end of the age. So as the disciples asked them, what is the end of the age? When is it going to come? Is it going to be in our lifetime? What's going to happen? Well, the rest of the chapter is dealing with the specific response that Jesus gave to his followers who asked that question. Jesus said that in the last days, this gospel of the kingdom will be preached to the whole world as a testimony to all the nations then, and then the end will come. The terms that Jesus used are last days and end of the age. What an interesting choice of words. They actually describe the tail end of things for humanity on that divine timeline. There is an appointed time on the divine timeline that the end will come. After all the nations will hear about the good news of Jesus and his kingdom of heaven, then the end will surely come. Positive. Don't think about anything else. Jesus is coming soon. And really, there's nothing that we can do to make him stop. It's his world. He created us. It's his timing. You just can't do anything about it but wait and be ready and be excited, telling everybody else, hey, Jesus is coming soon. Come on, be ready. Go to the church in the cloud. They will share with you. They will teach you what it is to fall in love with Jesus and then to be strong all the way to the end of the age. That's why we're preaching and teaching this, right? So either way, there has been 2,000 years of the gospel being preached to all nations. Finally, now in our lifetime, can we truly say that the gospel or the good news of the kingdom has been preached to all the nations, even to the ends of the earth? I mean, with this technology right here, with the cell phones and computers, I'm talking right now to people in China, people in Japan, people in Africa. I mean, it's mind-boggling that I can share something on the Church in the Cloud and thousands upon thousands are watching, listening, and preparing for Jesus' return. Actually, I can't wait to get to heaven and have someone come up to me and say, hey, Jesus just told me you're the guy who sent all those emails and texts out and sharing on the Church in the Cloud. Well, I listened. I started a relationship with Jesus, and now I'm here because you chose to send that out by faith, and I received it. And now, of course, together we just fall on our knees and just worship the Father, Son, and Spirit for loving us enough to let us help each other. What a privilege. We actually can share in the population of heaven. We can increase it. It's unbelievable. Why would you? I mean, Jesus doesn't need any of us, obviously. He's the creator of the universe. But he gives us the privilege to share the good news through the Church in the Cloud or whatever ways that you are sharing. And what happens then? Well, the population of heaven increases. Through the invention of the internet, we are now able to reach all four corners of the earth instantly. And of course, through our smartphones, right, in the palm of our hands, we have a computer. And I like to call it not a cell phone or a smartphone. I like to call it a good news spreading machine. There's so much bad on the internet. There's so much bad that can be on there, but we can spread the good news and defeat the darkness with light. The light of the truth of the good news that Jesus forgives your sins and loves you no matter what. He or she who calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. Not maybe, not perhaps, shall be saved. That's what he promised. So call upon the name of Jesus while you're listening, while you have breath and life. You need to call upon Jesus. And even now, if you're watching this and you're a complete stranger to me, you're on the other side of the planet, we are proclaiming to everyone in their own language the great news about Jesus and his kingdom of heaven and the forgiveness of sin. People can hear from us through social media platforms. Only in the last 100 years can we say that truly we have witnessed the most of the greatest inventions of all times. All the new creative technology at our disposal, the likes of which have never been seen before. This new technology was absolutely necessary for certain prophecies to even become possible. Now more than ever in recorded history, our generation is the closest to his return. Only now we can say we are living in the last days as described in prophetic scriptures. We have never been closer to his return than right now. Why, we may even be seeing the coming of Jesus in the clouds very soon. It is definitely right there in the appointed date on that divine timeline. We may be the humans that will not physically experience death. Would that be awesome? We might be the generation that will not experience death as everybody else in the last 6,000 years has experienced death, except for a few. But we'll get into that on another life lesson. In the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 4, it declares when the last trumpet sounds, we will be caught up to meet Jesus in the air. Last trumpet? Perhaps referring to the Feast of Trumpets. Can you imagine the bragging rights we will have in heaven? Oh yeah, but our bodies never experienced death. We never died a physical death. In the twinkling of an eye, we were all gone. Gravity did not apply to us. We were uploaded into the cloud. The Bible also teaches us all about the last days in the last book, the good book, called the book of Revelation. The great news is that in chapter 4, when Jesus revealed himself in a vision to John, who was exiled on the island of Patmos, John, if you don't know, just a quick, FYI, he was one of the last disciples to pass away and die of old age. Everybody else was definitely, Peter was hung upside down on the cross. All the other disciples, they were all also martyred. So John, he got to see a vision. So Jesus said, "Hey, John, come up here and I will show you what must take place on earth." The come up here part is very awesome. That may very well be the meeting in the air for the elect. It would appear as if everything after chapter 4 happens after the true lovers of Jesus are gone. It declares that the world leaders will unite it with one in purpose. In the revelation given to John, it says the nations of the world, like Russia, the country to the north of Israel, and China, will make a pact with Iran, or now they call it Persia. They will try to annihilate Israel. Sound familiar? Oh yeah, it's going down whether we like it or not. That's why we have to be prepared. That's why we have to love Jesus, because he said that he will never leave us or forsake us. So when the world's falling apart, we just start loving Jesus and praising his name with song, talking to him all day long. So yes, the Bible, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. You need to know those countries, Russia, China, Persia, and others, are going to try to wipe out Israel from the face of the earth. That can only even be possible because of our technology that would have had a massive capability of destroying millions of people at once. Never in the history of the world could they annihilate a whole nation. So now, what do you think? In 1945, in the new atomic bomb age, we could see the technology that was developed. Only now these prophecies are able to come to pass. It makes more sense now as we know about Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan. The world could witness the nations developed, detonated a hydrogen bomb. The power exerted by that nuclear bomb destroyed 2 whole cities in Japan in 1945. All at once. Poof, gone. The cities and their buildings are all left in ruins. Just a pile of rubble. I don't even know, over 70,000 people, I think, died instantly, and thousands more died afterwards because of the radiation from nuclear bomb fallout. Right now, with the current arsenal of nuclear bombs, we can destroy all of humanity on the planet. Actually, it can destroy ourselves like many times over. If we detonate all the bombs that have been developed, they are just sitting there in hidden strategic locations all around the world. There will be missiles flying in every direction with flashes like lightning globally. Billions of souls will be instantly incinerated on impact. Everyone is gone within hours of detonation. That's why Jesus said in Matthew chapter 24, if those days had not been shortened, no one would be able to survive. But for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. What a powerful statement. It's very noteworthy because if you read between the lines, what he is saying is a major power prophecy. The comment is very significant for us to understand. It may actually mean when we have the technology and the ability to destroy all manner of flesh, mankind, through nuclear bombs, Jesus will come for those who love him, his elect, as he phrased it. He did not allow brutal and even evil men to destroy his elect. He created the human beings. His children will not be destroyed by the created beings, the evil men. He will intervene and remove his faithful before the bombs start going off. We have to understand that men with a free will and the freedom of choice will always try to rule and have control over the nation. It's in their dark hearts. You just have to review history and you can see that these men have dark hearts. They always feel like they have to enslave and conquer the world. They somehow feel they personally have to take care of us helpless humans. History is filled with their venomous hatred and violence, the extermination of their fellow man. Butchers like Hitler, Stalin, Caesar, Nero of the Roman Empire, and the Egyptian pharaohs. Everybody's always trying to rule and dominate the world. Most of the timeline in human history is filled with wars. Throughout the ages, all this conquering of the world stuff. There's never been a long period of time in the world's history that mankind live in peace and harmony. Imagine that. A world with peace and no more war. Well, I'm here to tell you that there will be no global peace until the Prince of Peace returns and sets up his kingdom in the New Jerusalem. So, it's time to be prepared. And all you have to say is, I don't want to be here on earth when everything goes down and all hell breaks loose. Jesus, will you please forgive me of all my sins, all the bad stuff that I've done? I repent. I'm going to turn around. I was walking away from you. I'm going to make a U-turn and start walking together with you to the end of the age, where you promised me that if I love you, you will never leave me or forsake me. So I call upon that promise and I cry out to the Lord, our Creator, for mercy. And He is going to receive you, forgive you, and give you a peace and a joy that no man can ever give you. So stay tuned. More exciting, good lessons, good life lessons, so that you can live the best life ever. Love ya.